Good morning and welcome to our Satsang, and to all those, excuse me, tuning in via the internet, we welcome you as well. From Whispers from Eternity by Paramhansa Yogananda, the title is Driving the Rebel King, Ignorance. O mighty mystic judge of life, I ask thee in my hall of soul stillness, what is sin? Thy whispers of silence dim at first grew in bright articulations of thought. I heard and understood thy meaning. Sin is a rebel king. His name is ignorance. Ignorance is the perpetrator of all evil, the main root of the tree of ill health, the primal cause of all error and soul blindness. King Ignorance and his army of bacteria, physical disease, mental desires, dullness, and false ambition, spiritual indifference to higher truths, have been devastating the nourishing harvest fields of spirituality. That harvest of countless fulfillments was ripe for reaping when the harsh tread of air trampled it to the ground. I wanted to weep with despair when I heard thy voice whispering to me in my soul, the sun of my protection shines on thee always, equally, on thy sunny days and on thy coal black nocturnal hours. Thou shouldst always have faith in me and smile, for the greatest of all sins against me is not to be happy. Let the ripples of unceasing smiles play over thy face. Through their transparency my light will come to thy assistance. By smiling with determined happiness, thou wilt always please me. And from the New Path by Swami Kriyananda, this is drawn from the chapter on reincarnation. Frequently, Master held up to us examples of saints who had remained withdrawn even from their fellow devotees. Seclusion, he often told us, is the price of greatness. Though mental withdrawal may not make one popular with less dedicated devotees, Dayamata, who lived that way through her years of early training, soon found herself dubbed by fellow devotees as a half-baked saint. It is a shortcut to God. He urged his students to escape the delusions of worldly life, not by dulling their minds to its sorrows, but by rising high above them in higher intoxication of soul joy. Meditate, he urged us. The more you taste God's joy within you, the less taste you'll have for those mere masquerades of ecstasy. In fact, I knew a disciple who at one time had been an alcoholic. He took Kriya Yoga initiation from Master and thereafter practiced the technique quite literally, with a bottle of whiskey in one hand and his prayer beads in the other. In time, he found so much enjoyment in Kriya Yoga practice that one day, halfway through his meditation, he disdainfully set the bottle aside and never touched it again. When Roma and I were in the South Bay, west of Los Angeles, some years ago, Nayaswami Jyotish and Devi came and did a class series. And I'd never seen Jyotish do this, and I haven't seen it since. It was something unique. It was a demonstration. And he had some props, and out came, which kind of shocked me, the first prop, which I think was a bottle of Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola or something. I thought, okay, here we go. I'm all eyes. I'm waiting for this. What is he going to do, drink it? So he also had a basin and a pitcher. And so he began pouring the bottle of Coca-Cola into the pitcher, and I was relieved he wasn't drinking it himself. And so it filled all the way up. And then he said, now watch. And he began pouring water. And it took quite a lot. I think Davy was helping him out in all of this. And so jug after jug of clear water was poured into the vessel that was holding this brown liquid of Coca-Cola. Well, obviously, what did we see? Bit by bit, thankfully, the Coca-Cola began to spill out into the basin, and pretty soon there was nothing but clear water. And it's a demonstration I really won't forget, because it's something that is exactly what we are doing, whether we're practicing Kriya Yoga and dislodging the karma to the best of our ability on a daily basis from our own spines, doing our seva, doing our dharma, whatever it might be. As Yogananda said, even good thoughts stimulate the kundalini. Fascinating thought, and it's true. And so what we are endeavoring to do every single day is to be positive. We know that we've come down to this earth not as avatars. Some fine day, yes, that will be everyone's destiny. And so with that, we might as well face the facts. We haven't come down as avatars. We've come down with some karma. It's weighed us down to this world. But we needn't be dismayed by that, because we can do a lot of good as we are discharging this karma. And that's why spiritual community, as Yogananda was so strong in sharing, are so very important, because it continues to give us the very strong thought, and such an important thought this is, that we are not here alone. Remember, as Yogananda said, there's many that go to the Himalayas, and they're nothing but spiritual bums. It's painful, that thought. It's a painful thought. But it's because they didn't have the calling. They weren't ready. They haven't done their work. They just wanted to go up there and hope that a lightning bolt would strike on some fair day, or they'd meet a saint that would give them the peacock feather on top of their head, and they wouldn't have to do the work. They would have this great shortcut. No such luck. So they end up, fighting over food and places to sleep and all of that. And they should head on back on down to the city or wherever they might find themselves and live a balanced life. But for us, our striving is all about balanced living. And to be balanced in one's life, one has to be real. To thyself be true. And in order to be true to ourselves, we have to be content. That's why this reading was a joy this morning, contentment, the supreme virtue. We have to be content with where we are, acknowledge where we are, relax with that, and then say, fine, let's move forward. And we are all moving forward at different speeds. So, this one, as Yogananda said, some people are running forward, some people are running backward. There's all kinds of things. As he called this world, God's zoo. So much is going on. But everyone's on the spiritual path. He comforted us. And so ultimately, we will find the goal. It's just a matter of making that steady daily effort. And so really, it takes a lot of humility to be on the spiritual path. Because we look in the mirror and we go, uh-oh, I was hoping to see Yogananda reflected there, and who's this guy? Oh well, I guess that's all that we can do for today, and off we go to work. But with what we have, which is quite a lot, with the incarnations of effort that we have put energy into, spiritual energy, we have attained a good amount, and we too can claim that we're half-baked saints. I've always loved that term. We are getting closer to the goal. And so I was thinking of something that Roma shared with me today, very inspiring. And the point being, looking for the good in life, the good within ourselves, putting aside all of those things that cause us grief and trouble and tempt us to drop our consciousness. She was in San Francisco in California, And I don't remember, you can ask her later for the full details, because it's always very dangerous to tell someone else's story. But luckily afterwards we have Prasad, and you can go say, well, what really was that story? But I think I've got the gist of it. And it was that she was passing by in a car, perhaps, maybe a bus, and she saw this homeless person. And of course we know that in the cities there's quite a lot of that internationally. And it's a real sorrow for mankind. And so here was this homeless person, and perhaps the thought was, well, God bless him, and not give it a thought. What was her shock, really, joyous shock, when she saw coming from this disheveled man, he might have been Babaji, who the heck knows, God bless you, some saint, this tremendous stream of love, which for her was life-changing. And from time to time people will share with us an experience, or perhaps a superconscious dream, and it's got so much impact, you feel like it's your own. Well, that's how this experience of hers has always been for me. In the telling of it, it was very impactful, and in the memory of it, and in the retelling now, it's got that power, because this is God playing. This is God playing. He's always peekaboo, we're walking around, and the next thing we know, some unexpected something happens. I was telling Rakesh that, now that it's getting to be monsoon or pre-monsoon or whatever, you Indians will have to tell us what's quite going on. But, we try to get in and out before the weather, starts to hit in the afternoon. And so, typically on Saturday we're preparing for the satsang, so running around shopping and so on. And so I got a lot of stuff as it worked out, a lot of different things, and I was walking home and drip, drip, I thought, I've got another place to go, and what am I going to do? And I thought, well, maybe I'll just get drenched, because I did have the option to bring this big oversized umbrella and decided not to, because it's kind of fun to see if maybe you'll make it. And I do that from time to time. I'm not always running around like that, but sometimes you just want to just go for it. And so I did my final errand and was looking for a tree because now it's raining a little bit more, and I put my groceries there under the tree, and then was out there on the street trying to flag down a rickshaw. And much to my joy, I've got about 4 favorite rickshaws. We've all become friends now. Because I do my shopping in that area, they know me. And so this guy's never there. I've never seen him there. He's always at Browntree up the street about 6 or 8 blocks. And so he stopped. I didn't know who was there. I was gathering my groceries. Here's the rickshaw. He stopped. I'll get all my stuff. And there he's beaming. He's just beaming. And I thought, oh, this isn't you. This is an angel. What a treat. And so I didn't get wet. I got all the way home and was able to get, underneath the roof and stay dry. Well, these experiences, these unexpected experiences, where really it's very good to acknowledge that it's the divine. Because the more we can acknowledge that God through us and God in everyone is there present. Remember, God is the director and playing all parts. When I'm mentioning Roma a good bit, I think it's because I probably missed her with her being gone 6 weeks in New York. I hope I'm not embarrassing her. Well, we were on our honeymoon. This was a long time ago. We're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. And so we were on our honeymoon in Mendocino in California, Northern California, an incredibly beautiful place by the ocean. Incredibly beautiful. And so there we were, and we went to a restaurant. And so there in this restaurant, it just seemed like a good place. It turned out to be quite nice. Nice ambience, nice food, nice staff. Out came this boy. It seemed like he was maybe 12 years old, and he had Down syndrome. And if you're familiar with that, there's a certain look that you have there in the face and so on. And I thought to myself, wow, this is a first for me. And I had to think inside, what a beautiful thing here at the restaurant, because so many people are so concerned with image. And here he was bussing the tables and so on. I don't think he was waiting the tables, but clearing off the tables and so forth. I was so charmed and beyond charmed. I really felt this inspiration. It was a twofold. It was one that the proprietors had what I thought was the courage to have him out. He could have been in the back and having a good old time. He's probably in the back too, a good bit, chopping vegetables and so on. But there he was in a public eye. And they were really sharing on a very deep level that this too is a form of God, and let us rejoice in that. And let us have this reverence for life. And so as I observed this boy, very efficiently going about and waiting the table and so on, there was a vibration that was coming from him. And there was no mistaking it. It was real spirit. And those of you that have had, time perhaps, maybe in your own families or with friends and so on, working with people that are handicapped, many times there is this beautiful spirit that's coming through them. Maybe it's 100% of the time, where you just think, my goodness, God has planted so many different situations. It can be a person that has a handicap. It can be an animal. It can be the beauty of nature that gives us the opportunity, if we will be present, which is everything. Remember, as Yogananda said, when you're happy in the present, you have God. Well, that's a pretty good teaching to follow. When you're happy in the present, you have God. And it pleases God for us to be happy. I've meditated on that quite a lot, and will continue to, perhaps to my last breath. Because here in this chaos, in this world, Swami Kriyananda used to call this world a hospital. And Yogananda, as I said, calling it a zoo. And of course, everybody has a name for this place. So much is going on, this play of light and shadow and so forth. And so when one thinks of the inspiration that comes from these many, many beautiful things that God gives to us, then we find that it's not so difficult to be happy if we will make an effort. And it is an effort of will to be happy, to be content, to have our peace of mind. Swami Kriyananda, amidst incredible challenge, perhaps it was in the mid-70s, when the community in California was still being formed, he said, my bottom line is peace of mind. And I thought, he's always being so clever in what he shares. I've never heard of a bottom line being peace of mind before. I've heard of the other bottom line. We've all heard of that, the rupees, the dollars, and so on. And he said he would sacrifice nothing for that peace of mind. And I thought, wow, what an incredible thing with the challenges that he had. And there were times when it was really tough. Really tough. Imagine he formed the community in 68, and in 76, 2/3 of the community burnt down. I can mention fell down too, because there weren't many houses left. There was only one. And Divine Mother wanted that house to go too. So in the winter, a tree fell and cracked it in half. And I thought, my gosh, she was really making a point. I want all the houses done. And I thought, well, it was probably a good thing, because our skills in the early days, if the houses stood up, it was a bit of a miracle. And so Swami was wanting, and Master, God, a model community as it is today. And so why not kind of start from scratch? It's kind of a little rough, because the place really looked horrible. I didn't think that it could refurbish itself in terms of the trees and the plants so quickly. But it did, amazingly so, year after year. There's a lot of rainfall there. And the next thing we knew, it was more beautiful than ever. And the housing that came out of the ground, the second edition, was quite nice. And so for us, in life, it really takes a determined daily effort, a moment-to-moment effort, where stubbornly, with all that we've got, we cling on to the feet of the Guru, we cling on to Divine Mother, and pray, at times urgently, that she keeps us in tune One of my steadfast prayers, I was just uttering it the other day, is, Divine Mother, I need inner and outer encouragement. Years ago, I used to just pray for inner encouragement, but I thought, well, she is Divine Mother in our own. Why not, with one prayer, you can get both. You can get the outer encouragement, as Yogananda said, if you have desires, go after them. Wholesome desires, he mentioned. And so now my prayer is, please bless me with inner and outer encouragement. It's nice to have a window open in our lives. It's nice to have a door open where we feel that fresh breeze of opportunity. Not to mention the opening of the heart and the refreshment that comes from bliss and from peace and all the things that God gives to us. And so for us as really mature devotees, as people that are refined spiritually, we need to do all that we can to remain steadfast to the very, very end. Yogananda said, I don't want to have devotees, spiritual aspirants here just sticking it out to the end. I thought, boy, he's tough. You would think that would be good enough. And sticking it out is pretty good. No, that wasn't good enough either. Because we needed to be happy through the whole experience, or at least striving for that. And so it's not about being automatons and robots and going through our meditation and through our seva mechanically. It has to be done with heart. It has to be done with sensitivity. It has to be done with compassion and a feeling of growing expanse. And so this path is a high path, and we're very fortunate to be in India because there are so many high paths here to follow, and so many refined people to take to the path. And so India really is a beacon for the world, and it's such a privilege to be here. So God bless you all.